Good morning. Welcome to the Godel'S proof of existence of God. So this is basically his proof, Axiom 1, Axiom 2, Theorem 1, Definition 1, etc., etc. So I'm going to go through line by line, and as I mentioned earlier, you need to have some knowledge of predicate logic to understand this lecture series. And so without further ado, we would start with the first one, Axiom 1. So Axiom 1 says P alpha, this symbol is and this symbol is it is necessary for all x, alpha x implies beta x, and that implies P beta. So let's see what this means. P alpha means alpha is a positive property. Alpha is a property, any property that a person, or normally in mathematics it would be something like prime numbers have certain properties that they cannot be divided by 2 or 3 or any other number. So that's a property of prime numbers. But in this case, he's talking about God. So he's saying that alpha, is a property of something. And then when you say P alpha, that would be a positive property. So positive property could be kindness, givingness, forgivefulness, etc. So these are the positive properties. And this symbol means and this symbol means it is necessary. And for all x, x for all x, alpha x means if there's a person x and if he has property alpha, for all x, that property implies beta x. That person would also have a property called beta, and that property beta would be a positive property. So what he's saying here is that, let's say if someone has a positive property, alpha is a positive property, we said. Here he said this, alpha is a positive property. So what could be a positive property of a person? Let's say kindness. So positive property, let's say alpha equals kindness. So this is a positive property. And so it is necessary that this person also has kindness, alpha x has kindness, implies that he would have another property called beta. Let's say kindness, person is kind, and let's say he's very giving, he's giving to homeless people and give money and etc. So alpha is kindness, beta is giving, and kindness gives rise to beta, and beta is also a positive property. That's what he's saying. If a person is kind, then the properties that he would have after the kindness, that would follow the kindness, would also be positive. That's what he's saying. But is it really true all the time? So let us say, I give an example. Let us say someone has fear of God. Let's say fear of God is a positive property. It's a good, positive property. You have a fear of God. Let us say fear of God gives rise to fear of the unknown, fear of ghosts, fear of monsters, witches, etc. Then fear of unknown is also a positive property as per Godel. So is this really true? If someone is fear of ghosts, is that a positive property? I'm not really sure. So that's what Godel is saying. He's saying if there is a person has a positive property, and that positive property would give rise to a property, and that property also has to be a positive property. So that's what he's saying in the first line. So now let's go to the second line, Axiom 2. So here P is a positive property. This symbol indicates not. Alpha is a property. So not alpha is a positive property. If and only if not P alpha. So let's say alpha is anger. Anger is not a positive property, but not having anger is a positive property. So alpha is anger, and not having anger is a positive property. If and only if anger is a positive property, not. So if anger is not a positive property, not having anger is a positive property. That's what Godel is saying. So, I think it's easy to understand that part. So now let's go to the next one, theorem 1. Here it says alpha is a positive property. Alpha is a positive property, implies it is possible that there exists X, alpha X. X is a person. So if he's saying if there's a positive property, and that implies it is possible that there exists a person with that positive property. So if there's a positive property in the world, there has to be someone with that positive property. So in other words, if there is kindness in the world, which is a positive property, there has to be a person with kindness in the world. But is this true always? I was thinking about this, and this is what I think. Let us say curing cancer is a positive property, right? Curing cancer is a positive property. Everybody agrees on that. But there is no one who has that property. No one can cure cancer. So, but Godel knew this. There could be positive properties that nobody has. And hence, that's why he says it is possible. This symbol here, it is possible that someone out there who could cure cancer. Thanks for listening. It's a good place to stop. Meet me in the next section.